Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to another explainer where we take the profound, the deeply complex, and break it all down. Today we're decoding something truly majestic from the Avatamsaka Sutra. We're looking at the rigorous, step-by-step mechanics of spiritual power and karma, and we're going to see how these ancient, highly elevated concepts actually make perfect logical sense in our modern lives.
Here's the roadmap for this explainer. 1. Avatamsaka effortless power. 2. The realms of obtaining food. 3. The 3 levels of power. 4. Compassion is Bodhi's root. And finally, 5. All things arise from affinity. Let's kick things off with part 1, Avatamsaka effortless power, and what it literally means to bend the universe.
Okay, imagine this. The text describes a spiritual manifestation where the Buddha takes entire worlds, entire Buddha lands, and merges them into one single place to host a grand teaching. But here is the absolute wildest part. Ordinary humans never even notice. The Buddha shifts ordinary beings to other realms so seamlessly that their eating, their drinking, their daily routines aren't interrupted for a single second. They go about their day completely unaware that the literal universe has shifted around them.
So the crucial point we're building to here is what's called one thought, effortless spiritual power. This is the ultimate, highest state described in the text. It's a reality where a single, solitary thought instantly manifests without an ounce of physical action. True mastery means zero physical labor is required. The thought itself is the physical creation.
Moving to Section 2, the realms of obtaining food. This grounds those massive cosmic powers with a really relatable, everyday metaphor to show us how effort actually works.
Let's walk through this metaphor step by step because it's brilliant. Notice how ascending levels of merit require drastically less physical effort. Step 1, growing and cooking your own food. That's hours of hard, back-breaking labor, right? Planting, harvesting, cooking, doing the dishes. Step 2, if you have a bit of wealth or merit, you just order delivery. It takes minutes. You entirely bypass the heavy labor. And step 3, the emperor's meal. Zero effort. The emperor doesn't even have to ask. The royal kitchen just knows its time, and it's served instantly.
Let's put a hard number on that labor for a second. 150. That is roughly the number of hours an average person spends every single month just buying, preparing, and cleaning up after meals. That's a massive chunk of time. The sutra points out that higher spiritual beings, or even just people leveraging modern delivery apps, can take all those hours and redirect them entirely toward higher pursuits and spiritual growth.
All right, Section 3, the 3 levels of power. Let's see how this builds when we apply that same food metaphor directly to divine beings. Look at the stark, rigorous contrast in spiritual mastery here. A tree god still has to physically do something. He literally had to lift his right hand to manifest water for 500 starving merchants. There's a physical action required. But higher beings, like Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva or the Buddha, zero physical action at all. With just a single thought, Kshitigarbha manifests physical robes, and the Buddha manifests entire universes.
Just think about the sheer majestic scale of this for a moment. Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva arrives at this massive spiritual assembly and instantly, with merely a single thought, manifests brand new, brilliant robes and wish-fulfilling jewels for every single person there. Imagine the bright, grand, noble, golden light of that manifestation. It's this overwhelming display of effortless power designed to leave you in absolute awe of what a purely focused mind can achieve.
But why do these powers even exist? What's the point? That brings us to Section 4. Compassion is Bodhi's root.
It all boils down to this profound idea. Great compassion is the deep cause of Bodhi or supreme enlightenment. These grand powers, they absolutely do not exist for showing off or doing magic tricks. They are deeply, intrinsically rooted in compassion for the suffering of others. That raw compassion is the very seed from which all supreme enlightenment grows.
Let's compare practicing compassion on the Buddha versus practicing it on actual suffering beings. There's a fascinating story where the Buddha actually faked being ill. He asked his disciple Ananda to fetch him milk. Now, why would he do that? Because the Buddha doesn't have any real suffering. His form is already perfect. He had to simulate an illness just to give his disciple a chance to practice serving. Because true, deep compassion isn't built by serving those who are already perfectly at peace. It's built by engaging with the very real, visible torment of beings who are actually struggling.
Which brings us to a really fascinating question about how spiritual giving works. Think about this. Why did Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva give those magnificent gifts to the lesser disciples in the assembly instead of just honoring the Supreme Buddha? Why give to those lower on the ladder who are still struggling?
The secret behind that is in Section 5. All things arise from affinity.
The answer is affinity, which is essentially karmic connection. This is the absolute requirement between individuals. The harsh truth of the sutra is that without affinity, even a grand bodhisattva's profound teachings will just be completely ignored. Kshitigarbha gave those gifts to build a connection with the crowd. Because if you don't build that affinity first, people will literally walk away while you're in the middle of trying to save them.
Think of this playing out like a karmic mirror in your everyday life. If you look at a flower and call it ugly, you are sowing a seed for yourself to be disliked later. If you smile superficially at someone while you're secretly annoyed with them, you're breeding distant, cold relationships. Every single thought bounces exactly back to the sender. That hidden internal annoyance, even if you hide it behind a polite smile, manifests as an invisible karmic wall between you and the world.
It really brings home that profound ancestral wisdom. 3 thoughts before speaking, 3 thoughts before acting. Every single word, every internal intent, every hidden little judgment is a seed planted in the fabric of the universe. Literally nothing is lost. It is all meticulously recorded by the laws of affinity. So I want to leave you with this deeply provocative question to mull over. If every single thought you project is actively building your future world, what kind of universe are you creating with your mind right now? Think about that one thought, effortless power you already possess, and how you're choosing to wield it every single day. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this helps you build a brilliant, truly compassionate universe.